Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another weekly update. Hope everybody had a lovely week. And with that being said, let's prepare for the coming week. All right, guys, we did close out the week with VIX up 50.9%. Looks like this on the weekly time frame. And if we come over to the S&P 500, we were doing a little cliff diving this week. This was the largest red week since all the way back over here during the March 2020 COVID crash. Over here, you had a minus 11.16% week. What we just had is a minus 9% week. We have not had one of these bad boys since over here. So we're going to start off with that, guys. The market is crashing. It is actually crashing. You know, whether people want to tell you, it is or isn't, I'm going to tell you. I told you this day right here. We're going to have to see if the market's actually crashing. We'll know it's just like COVID 2020, the crash over there. If we get another big gap down, if we get two back-to-back 3 to 5% gap downs, it is probable that we were crashing. That is how that played out in 2020 over here. All right, when the selling just did not stop. That is how you knew it was happening. And right now, the selling is just not stopping. And, I don't blame the market. All right. There's really not a reason for people to buy stocks right now. I do think you're going to get one heck of a dead cat bounce. We're going to talk about that to start off the video. So I do think you're going to get one heck of a dead cat bounce. And if you're trying to short down here, I think you're making a bad decision. I think you should wait on the dead cat bounce. I'm going to cover in today's video. But in reality, there's not really a reason to be buying the market right now other than, things are low. All right. As far as good things go, what just happened is, I talked about in the last video, the president literally created World War III and everyone is against America. Yeah, there's going to be negotiations and yeah, that's going to be a thing. But in reality, what happened is enough to wreck economies. And that is, where everything is headed. And that's, where market participants as a whole are, coming to the conclusion of that, hey, everything is screwed. You again today had hundreds of millions of puts being swept, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of puts being swept, all between April and June. All right. The bulk of them were between April and June. Yes, there were some leaps, but these are not leap puts. These are, over the next few months, this is likely to be taking place. And as of right now, you could see where we are over here on the daily RSI. All right, we are sitting down there at 23, guys. We're down at 23. We're very oversold. I know. You're like, Henry, aren't you supposed to buy when it's oversold? Yeah, you can do so. You can. All right. I don't think, I think we are going to be going lower. But we're also just going to have to see what happens after this next bounce. I think we are going to get the bounce even during, the COVID crash. You did end up going, lower another day from where you are right now on the daily RSI. That would be right over here. And then you gap down and you bounce the following week. Now, like I said, you come over here. This week is the largest decline, weekly decline, since over here the week of February 24th, 2020. Well, what happened over here? All right, let's just go over some stats here. All right, do a little back testing here on our YouTube video here. From the bottom, all right, this was on a Friday. I understand we did not close out like this today. We did not. We closed out like this. So, something tells me that we're probably going to be going a little bit lower on Monday. Then if we gap down, that probably gets bought. All right. And I think we can get, a bit of a short squeeze rally going on. But again, as far as, reasons to be buying the market right now, I am not going to point to them. So I do think, it's going to be like the same thing we've been getting, the past 2 days, which I'm actually just going to point something out right now, a little cheat code for you. This is going to produce your, whenever it happens, this is going to produce your bigger bounce. You can see right here, you tried for it. You didn't get it though. If you get the 15-minute 5 EMA crossing above the 21 EMA, that red line, all right, over the white line, if we get the EMA cloud flipping into, flipping green, flipping bullish, that is probably going to give you your first large bounce. All right. That is typically something that is correlated with our decent sized bounces. Oh, you're falling off a cliff, for pretty much the whole time ever since over here. Okay. And then you finally, start making your way up there. So if you want to put that on your chart, I'll just show you, the indicators right here. It's called the EMA trend. I did the 5, the 9, the 21. You have the 21 on your chart. You have the 5. Makes it look real pretty. All right. And, it's relatively easy to follow along with price action if you were, using this method. You would not have gone faked out on any of these if you just had that in the back of your mind, all right? And even if you were long and maybe you had to stop and, you easily could have just hopped back in short because, oh, another leg down is happening right at the 21 EMA here on the 15-minute time frame. Cheat code for you in this market, and I think it's something to, just keep your head straight there. And just, avoid as many fake outs as possible because clear as day, the market continues wanting to sell. And why are you going to stand in its way? The key here, guys, is going to be trading intraday. Okay. Long-term investors, let's look at it this way. The NASDAQ is now down like, what is it? 22% here, 22% from the high. You could be stepping in. Just understand that in the short term, you got to be uncertain about the price action. You don't know what's going to happen, all right? But, let's just talk about what would happen if we were to, have this COVID 2020 style and dead cat bounce and then continue the crash. Well, from the bottom there, we did end up, bouncing 10.8%. We'll just come over to the weekly time frame though. From the weekly close, from that would be from like the close we just got. From the weekly close, you did end up going 6.7% here on the NASDAQ the following week. From that high, you then fell down to close the week out 5.3%. And from that high over the next 2 weeks, all right, like 1 to 2 weeks, being, first week is the same week here. The next week, you fell 16%. In the next 2 weeks, you fell next 3 weeks, you fell 24% over here from that high. All right. And we'll just come over to VIX. VIX, like we were pointing out at the beginning of the video, it closed out. You see it's up 109% of the week. It closed out 50.9% on the day over here. I'm just going to point out, how eerily similar it is to this guy over here. Okay. So you are here. Look how big this is, all right? This is just absolute massive moves over here on the VIX. And guys, holy crap, a storm is brewing. And I don't know if a storm's going to be brewing over here where we're just going to stay elevated. I have absolutely no idea. We're going to have to see how this thing goes. But even over here, you had VIX falling about 50%, 49%. So, right now, you're right here. This is Thursday. And then this was Friday over here. And I don't know how this is going to go. VIX, it looks like it closed here. So this is where I think we are. If we're going to be following along with this, we're going to, we're going to move a little lower down on the indices come Monday. Maybe not. Maybe VIX just spikes in the morning and then, we don't get much movement intraday and it creates this upper wick here, okay? So that would be before close. Indices go lower, VIX spikes, or not before close, before open. Indices go lower. VIX spikes just like this, and then we end up getting a close like that, and then that gives us that little VIX crush going on over here. But you're gonna hold the daily 21 EMA over here, and then you're gonna bounce and you're gonna make a new high. All right, so if we're gonna do that, then this is how that would go. And you've had 49% down, but then over the coming we're talking 1 week, you went up 150% from, that bottom that you put in. So even though VIX is probably going to fall, 30 to 50% at some point, and it could very easily just go right back up. It could go like this. It could take a few days, and then it could go right back up. All right. Even though we know that is probable at some point, we don't know exactly where it's going to happen from. So, as far as intraday trading goes, guys, or as far as trading in this market goes, guys, like investors, that's one thing, but trading, stick to intraday trading. Do not, you don't have to hold overnight. You don't. I tried swinging some some calls overnight. We'll see how it goes here. We got some time on it. Got a few weeks there. I don't need the exact bottom here or anything like that, but I am trying to catch that 6 to 10% bounce that I think we're probably going to get next week, and we don't have to. All right. You obviously have a risk there. But yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. We will see how that goes. I do think we'll probably get that VIX pullback over there and get the dead cat bounce on the markets though next week. So that is really the base case there. But as far as oh Jesus, guys, there's a lot of volatility over here. This guy over here, guys. Oh, dude, we caught 753 points today over here on the NASDAQ. I think 15 points on ES. I didn't calculate. That's literally just me in the Discord just doing entries, exits, real time over there. I did not calculate the rest of the days, but I know that number is well into the thousands with the week we just had over here. And I told you guys about the strategy I put together to start trading this market intraday and just making sure, guaranteed, I'm catching all these moves, and especially the trending moves that are going to be giving you the runners. And yeah, this week made me tears of freaking joy, guys. It does not get better than sitting there back testing something, making sure all the stats about the strategy and all the stats about the past few months price action on it, and just you really know it in and out. The odds. All right, you just know the odds, and when this happens, 90% chance you're going to be a winner there, and 80% of the time you're going to be a big winner there. And you got to stop in place every time. It's honestly the greatest feeling, and honestly it's pretty freaking easy trading this market. So that's why I say don't stress yourself out. Don't try and sit there trying to catch the falling knife. All right, if you want to risk things for the biscuit just like me, all right, just accept that maybe 1 to 2K goes down the freaking drain. But just understand, you're going to have an opportunity to get freaking rich on the long side. Just give it some time. I will let us know when that happens. But as of right now, the weekly RSIs are oversold. Market is going straight down. Maybe we go lower next week. Maybe we don't. But I promise, guys, I promise to you, you are going to have much easier markets to just swing trade. You are going to have that environment come back to the market. And it is not right now. Even when you are crashing, you are going to put in your base. You are going to launch off of that base. And we just have to wait and see how things are going to develop. We don't know if it's going to be like the 2022 bear market. We don't know if it's like the 2018 market that was also induced by Mr. Trump over here. We don't know if it's going to be the 2020 crash. We don't know if it's going to be the dot-com bubble burst of the 08 crash over here. We don't know exactly how the market is going. So until you're sure of that, do not start laying them down. Do not start going balls to the walls. You got no reason to, all right? If you took some losses with me, lick your freaking wounds. It's time to make them back. It's time to adjust. It is time to, put on your uncertainty hat, trade the volatility that you get. We have so much volatility to trade every day right now. Trade that stuff. Make some money as you go. And once we have that, confirmation that, guys, it's ready to move. All right. It's going to take weeks to tell you that, but I promise it's going to come. And I promise I'm going to let you guys know when that is, or at least when I think that will be. And guys, we're going to be going on balls to the walls, but I'm telling you right now, it's not time to go risk on. You saw the move today. You saw the move that happened yesterday. All right. Like straight up, we had a 5% move followed by another 6% move down. Insane moves right now. You have no reason to be sitting there trying to catch a falling knife. All right. So, I'm serious. Even if it's uncomfortable, you're going to learn to trade the intraday price action, and you're going to learn to trade this market. And then, when all is said and done, you can go put on the sides with the swings and you can make your easy money there. But I'm telling you right now, it's, as far as, long swings go, There's absolutely no reason to be trying the bottom fish right now. And I'm telling you right now, on the short side, if you're trying to open swing puts right now, maybe you get another minus 5% day, or maybe you get that 10% bounce on the NASDAQ that I showed you in the COVID 2020 crash. 6.7% from that week's close, 10% from that week's bottom. I don't know exactly which one we're going to get, but I'm guessing we're going to get one heck of a bounce at some point that then gets sold, and it's going to drive a lot of people freaking insane. You're going to get some crazy stuff like this, all right? Now, I'm not saying that's exactly going to be how this goes, all right? For all we know, it bounces, it finds a higher low, and then it goes like that. Or honestly, if you come back to the low, no, it's not gonna be a marginal low this time around. It's not gonna be like we're saying over here. Not at all. You started falling off the cliff. The president decided to try and tank the market, and really did start some crap. All right, with every single other country. So, yeah, I mean, just adjust. Just do what you got to do. All right, I'll stop giving my pep talk here in the beginning of the video. But I think it's most important to discuss how to actually make money in this environment instead of just sitting there panicking. Guys, just don't put your extra skin in the game right now. You don't have the reason to. All right, if you're sitting on things, all right, if you're a long-term investor, that's great, okay? But right now, you don't have a reason to do anything else, all right? As far as levels go, we're talking 423.45 on QQQ. Underneath there, 420.63, 418. I'm losing my voice over here. 418.14, 413.07, and let's just skip over the weekly chart, and I'll just point out, you lose 413.07, bad things can happen. We're hitting that 400 psych level, and then you are going to have 387.98. But then again, I imagine this is probably going to be a respectable level, all right? So underneath 413.07, you have 408.71. If you lose 408.71, that's when we're going to say the bad things can happen. And but at the end of the day, guys, I do think you're going to get one sick, nasty bounce here. I do think it's about to come. I think it's going to catch people off guard, all right? Maybe it lasts a few weeks. Maybe it's 3 weeks like that one over there, 2 to 3 weeks. And then you fall down, you slice down to new low 2 weeks later. No, and then you put in a bullish divergence, and that's the absolute bottom of the market right there, the bullish divergence on the weekly time frame. We don't know how it's going to go, and that's why I was saying what I was saying. It is best to just wait and see, and adjust accordingly, and just trade the intraday price action for now. Is all you got to concern yourself with, and as we can see, there are plenty of moves intraday. The volatility is absolutely insane. All right, 1 to 2% moves all day in either direction. That is what you can expect. Okay, on the upside over here on QQQ though, above 423.45, we're talking 430, 437, 443.06, 448.19. And we're gonna actually take that off. We're just gonna watch 450.15, that gap right there. All right, coming over here to SPY on the downside. Support, guys, you finally filled this gap over here. You finally filled it. All right, now it is done. Now it is done. Underneath 505.89, we're talking 499.55, 493.86, 477.55. All right, lose that. We're talking you're retesting 459.44. But this level over here is going to align with your 2022-2021 peak over there, 479.98. So I imagine just like QQ, that one spot over there, I imagine this is going to give you a nice little reaction there. And if we just take it top to bottom here, guys, we revisit this, we're already down 21%. The S&P 500, it only fell 27% here all of 2022. I think we just got the worst of it out of the way. That is what I'm thinking here. But you got 17%. You come all the way down here to 459.44. That support 25%. You'd be going a little lower. Well, let's just put on a little golden pocket action right there. And guys, if you get the sick nasty sell down there, 27%, it brings you right to the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement from this whole 2022 into 2025 rally. All right, that is a big big area of interest is sitting down here, right? So, after, we're doing this, we're clearly breaking the weekly structure going on over here. This at this point, that's the monthly structure breaking, all right? You look like, you're going to come into the previous structure. You're not working off of this anymore. You've broken. We're talking down here, all right? You're going to revisit this whole area. That is what I'm thinking. And on the upside over here on SPY, above 505.89, you have 510.27, 518.36, 528.60, and 533.07. We'll see what happens after there. I know you got insane moves going on in this market, but that would be a 5% rally already. So I'm just going to guess we're not going to get that all in one day, considering the market wants to sell. And there's kind of no buyers, guys. Every bounce, it just keeps getting sold. It's like, shorts just taking profits, all right, because the market auctions at a standstill because no one's willing to buy it. No one's willing to sell it. No one wants to sell after minus 10% in two days over here. No one wants to do that. And no one wants to buy the minus 10% 2 days because it's a freaking market crash. All right. So anytime it bounces, it's literally just like, auction is at a market auction at standstill. All right. So right here, market auction is at a standstill. Short see there, prices. There's no new, there's nobody going on. There's no transactions going on. Oh, so let me cover. Boom, spikes into you, reverts to the mean into your short-term moving average over here on the 15-minute time frame. And then, new shorts just take their, positions there. And then we get a repeat, all right? You get a standstill. Boom. Sellers end up winning, the auction over there. And then you get into the standstill, and then you get the repeat where it's just shorts covering into the point where, now there's new sellers over here and they're taking their positions. And then, you're at the same thing. All right. So it's just being walked down. And that's why I said at the beginning of the video, guys, if you see this 15-minute EMA cloud, I got nothing to hide over here. I'll show you exactly what I'm using. All right. There's people out there, they're like, pay me to see what I'm using. No, you guys could just know what we're doing right over here on the channel. I will do my best to give you guys free quality information so you can make your informed decisions. Inform market decisions, all right, perhaps with no cost to you. But yeah, when this thing actually flips green over here, it's probably going to be a big deal, and it's probably going to mark a big bounce, all right? We're talking probably 10 to 20 point bounce. So I'll be looking for it, and I'll be playing it. I'm just waiting patiently on it. Until then, guys, it's short city, and that's, really the name of the game right now. But, I do think probably Monday or Tuesday, we're going to start that big old bounce, and we're going to get some decent ass upside action to play. Okay. So that's SPY, QQQ, VIX over there. All right. Now we are going to come over here, IWM, and I'm just going to point out cliff diving over here, but you did end up getting bought up over here. All right. From the lows, you didn't close out terribly over here, but I will, say this is not something that's good. This is not something that suggests like, just buy this thing. This is literally crashing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is not what we just saw. Not even one of these things. Okay. This is, it's kind of like that over there, right? But, you're probably going lower. That's what you should expect over here, IWM, Does that look like something you want to just, free, buy into the free fall? No, maybe the next week. All right, closed out right at the low. Maybe the next week you go lower. All right, it's like buying into that. You're probably going to get a dead cat bounce. But then on that bounce, anybody who's bag holding is just going to sell. And that's what I was saying. Every bounce is just people taking their profits on the short side. And then boom, all right, there's no new sellers down here. So they cover, you get the bounce. And then all of a sudden, because people were trapped, now there's a whole new wave of sellers that push you down. All right, so like just ride the wave for the time being, because that's how the weekly structure is set up. That's how the daily structure is set up. And on the smaller time frames, like I pointed out over here with the Qs, you're just being walked down. That's, it's bearish structure on every time frame right now. Until that changes, there's nothing to talk about on the long side. All right. So those are the indices there. We're gonna just quickly run through the Mag 7 stocks over here. I'll run over the semiconductors. And actually, before we start this, just because we're talking about the entire thesis here at this point, You know, semiconductors, guys, SMH from the highs is already down 37%. The lows over here in 2022 were down 47%. And then in COVID, you actually only fell 37%. All right. So, and this was the quick, you know, quick sell, not like what we got in 2020 where it was nice and slow. I would say this is definitely closer to the 2020 where, you know, there was a black swan event. And yeah, we kind of all knew about the event, but I don't think anybody, you know, I definitely didn't think how bad, you know, it was going to end up turning out and spooking everybody out. I didn't, you know, I didn't see that coming. And maybe neither did you. Not really sure. Maybe you did, and maybe you made a killing. Congratulations. I'll hit this for you.
That was easy.
All right. I hit this for you. I applaud you guys. I'm rooting for you guys in this market. And just realize if you can successfully trade this market or not lose your butt in this market, you could trade any market. This is probably the craziest. It's definitely the craziest I've ever seen. Aside from the COVID 2020 crash, you know, that I've, you know, physically, you know, been trading. 2020 was a thing, but this is literally just that. This is exactly what I was talking about in my last video, where we're going to know if it's like 2020 because we're about to get another 3 to 5% move down. Right, following the 5% move down. That's how it was back then. That's how it is right now. All right. And, you know, I didn't trade the 08 crash. I didn't trade the 2018, you know, that whole thing. I didn't trade into .com bubble burst. I did not. I'm sure, you know, most of us did not, but hey, if you did, let me know. Is this similar to what was going on back then? I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. I can use my two eyes and look at the charts. But yeah, SMH, it's already, you know, gone cliff diving over here. The daily RSI is actually the lowest it's been since over here in 2018. What happened in 2018? From highs, you were down, you know, only like 30%. We're talking not much. Okay. So, you know, I'm just pointing out how far things have died. All right. They've really fallen off a cliff here. And I do think it is time. I think it is. We're really close to getting that broad market bounce, but it's probably going to be a dead cat bounce. But also, we're going to have to wait and see. I promise, guys, though, with the weekly RSIs being oversold, every time throughout history, when this thing got oversold, every time, even during 2022, even during COVID, even during 08, it's like, but again, this is why I say we're going to have to just wait. If this base decides to build out and it takes 3 to 4 months like it did over here, no, it took half a year. If it takes 5 to 6 months like it did over here, I don't want you to get wrecked in that. I want you to profit off of that. I want you to trade intraday in that. And I promise we're going to get this opportunity right here when it's clear as day. You're breaking out of the base. All right. So like crash or not, guys, which I'm telling you, we are doing that. Crash or not, we're going to catch this thing. And I'm telling you, you just got to be patient on it. We're going to have a clear as day signal, apparently, not apparently, eventually on the weekly time frame. You just have to be patient for it. It will come, I promise. Okay, but right now, you see how you took out this low? Like, you're just breaking all the structure on the larger time frames. Like, that's why I was saying you're gonna come into this range you were here in before, this previous structure that you broke out of. You're gonna revisit it at least, which that would be all the way down here at 408.71. And I say at least as if I know. I don't know. Okay, I just want to make that clear as well. I don't know, but I'm using, you know, my experience as well as you know, just back testing and these charts here to use context clues to put together our little roadmap here over here. Okay, Mag 7 stocks though, NVDA $90. Did we ever think we would see it again? Not me. All right, but 90.69, that's your support. Underneath 90.69, I'm just going to point out you are right here. Come over the weekly time frame. You're breaking underneath a key level there. That's not the best look to you. It looks like you're going to break 90.69. If you break under there, you really don't have any support until down here at 75 freaking bucks. What is that crap? Craziness. All right, so underneath 90.69, we're talking 84.17 and then 75.61. Do I think you get down there? No. All right, but I'm also going to point out this looks like it's going to take out that low right there, and if it doesn't, that's cool. All right, but again, expect a dead cat bounce. Resistance 97.40. 195 and 104.77 is where you recently broke down from. Come over here to Tesla. It was holding up well. What happened today? You let it slip. Whoopsies, whoopsies. Crazy. Tesla took the dumpster fire quite literally over here, okay? So underneath 243.36, we have 217.02. Underneath there, you have 198.87, 182. I imagine Tesla, out of all companies, out of all Mag 7 stocks, I imagine Tesla's, we're not going to see like a broad market bottom when Tesla's sitting up here. I'm imagining Tesla's going to be sitting, 180 to 200 at least, if we're going to be seeing that. But, does this weekly chart, does this tell you should be buying? No, guys. If any of the big Mag 7 stocks are looking like this, is that a time you should be just sitting there blindly trying to catch the knife? No. I don't care if things are, extra super oversold right now. We clear as day. We talked about this. We know we're in a market crash if the market was going to, hit it with another big gap down right after that day. It's happening. Okay, it's happening. So, yes, probably bounce. But Tesla over here, this thing looks like it's probably not going to bounce. It's just going to start dying. All right, but, just saying. Out of all companies, Tesla over here that the market just decided to hate before the market even started dying. All right. Yeah, it's probably it's gonna take out this low. All right, resistance above 243.36. You have 261, 276.30, and 291.85. Don't get bullish until you get over 291.85. Apple over here, straight up cliff diving. This was the market's favorite to sell, favorite to get me the frack out of. Gap down and closed 9% down yesterday, down another 7% today. Daily RSI is sitting down in the same spot you bounced at last time. I don't, think that's really what we should be focusing on. I think what we should be focused on is that you broke down under 200. You broke down under like right over here. This was a big freaking spot to hold. You didn't hold it. You just said, nope, I'm all good. All right. 198.23 right there. There's a really big spot. And you said, screw that. Now what are we going to do? We're going to pull out, golden pocket style. And we're going to put it just like that. And, what are we looking at, guys? We're coming down to the 0.786 fib. Buyers, if you're going to step in, it's going to be around 186.63. All right. And, we're just going to say under 180.42. If that gets taken out, yeah, you're probably going to fill the 173.42 gap that was left open all the way over here. This is on May 2nd. All right. And, underneath there, we're talking 164.08. Insane move over here. But, this is what I was just talking about. You can go back in time. It doesn't matter. This is 08. You were buying down here Apple, like these quality companies. I'm going to show you Amazon in a sec too. All right. Weekly RSI oversold. I'm telling you, put the investor hat on. Like it's a good buying opportunity. And I also promise, don't do no risky shit right now, because I promise that is a Henry guarantee right there. I will let us know when I think that we are fully like turn around. Look at this clear as day signal. All right. This is, 2022. You have clear signals when you base out and it takes weeks to provide them. We just slashed so much market cap on everything all at once. I'm telling you, you're going to get a big rebound. And when it is a rebound, you're going to, it's going to be nice to catch. But right now, it's not. Okay? It's not nice to catch that right now. Okay? And like, oh, it finally stopped selling. You put in like a 5 to 6 week base. We could see it right there. And then you moved above it. We will just be patient on this. Oh, you had a bullish engulfing candlestick print right at the bottom. And then the following week, you ended up going higher. And then the week you closed low, you went lower. And then, oh, you have, you're getting over the weekly 21. And then you had years of upside. Okay, like these are the things you just got to wait for after, these things. You got to let the market digest it. Apple looking butt ugly, though. On the upside, resistance 198.23. Microsoft over here, guys. Weekly RSI is oversold at this point in time. I was pointing out, Apple. Well, it's the same thing over here on Microsoft, guys. In these times, all right, Look to the companies. If you're an investor, look to the companies you know are not going anywhere. It does not matter about these stupid tariffs. Nobody's going to stop using these big old companies. It's not going to happen. We're all on Microsoft every single day. I can't do my job, my work here with what I do in the market and what I do for the community. Guess what? It's all done on a Windows computer. Okay, guys? All of this, all right, all of these big companies, we use them every day. Those are going to be the ones that you see weekly RSIs oversold over here on these Mag 7s like Microsoft, Apple, Amazon over here. If you see the weekly RSIs oversold, that is like real talk. That's your investor hat. Like, put that thing the freak on, and you're not going much lower than that. You're really just not going to go much lower. Okay? Like, every single time you could have been buying these weekly RSIs over time, and you would have made money in the end. And I'm not saying it's going to be the same this time, but it's been this time every single time since its inception. It's probably not going to change now. So just keep that one in mind. No reason to panic. Don't lose sleep over anything. Just don't let it happen. All right. People that don't normally look at the stock market, they're going to be only looking at the stock market right now because they're down freaking 30% from highs on most things. Like, you could have had such a stable portfolio and you're still down 30%. So just understand, it's not a time to panic. Okay. If you're in a position you're panicking, you shouldn't be in that position. Do what you got to do. All right. But also, I do think we'll get a decent sized bounce right around the corner. We'll see what next week gives us. All right. So, Microsoft over here, support 359.48. Today's low, and underneath there, 349.67. On the upside is resistance. You have 366.78 and 376.91. That's where you just broke down from. On Amazon, resistance 171.16, 178.14. Today's high, above today's high at 178.14. You have 184.40 and then 188.65. On the downside, underneath 171.16, we're talking 166.32. And then underneath there, you have nothing until 151. And I mean nothing. Okay, you don't have structure built down here. You just don't. All right. Come over to Goog and let's just see. Do we have that same thing I was just talking about? How you could just buy every time the weekly RSI is oversold over here? Yes, you can. And let's just go over to actual Google. All right. Even over, this is the 08 crash, guys. 08 crash. When Google over here. You still, let me just point out how close you were. This is 08. Okay, this is like the market crash that we all know about. We all know about it. Okay, if you were buying where you are right now, like literally you are there right now. Okay, you're not there yet, but almost there. Almost there. No, you are there. You're literally right there right now. Okay. Yeah, it could take some time. But, in reality, from that low, you only really went 20% lower. And then over the next, year and a half, you went 100%. And that's not even buying on this bullish divergence here on the weekly time frame there. All right. But I'm telling you, on the weekly time frame, if we do end up seeing this bounce, broad market bounce across the board, and then it gets sold down to new lows, it's picture perfect for a massive market bottom. And then maybe we base out for months like this and it drives everyone nuts. But Henry boy over here, I'm telling you, I promise, I'm gonna remind you guys when it's happening. I'm gonna continuously remind you guys, and then when we finally see it start moving, maybe we get faked out over here, maybe it comes back down, maybe it almost takes out that low. And then we're going to ride that bad boy up. I promise, guys, there's going to be a time for you to ride that bad boy up or catch these massive swings to the upside. And right now, we don't have anything telling us those are starting. So don't sit there trying to catch the falling knife. I promise. You're going to see this clear as day. It's the V-shaped recoveries. People think they're a thing. They're really not. All right? Just zoom out. COVID 2020, even that, that was V-shaped, right? Was it really? Like, kinda, but you had a signal at the very bottom. You have something you didn't get the whole time. Not only did you not get another closing low, you've been, closing. Okay, closed lower than over here, closed lower than over here. You also got this weekly bullish engulfing candlestick as the weekly RSI is oversold, and the daily time frame just showed mass amounts of divergence. all the way down here. You're just steadily building out this divergence the whole time. You knew at some point it was going to snap back. And then you see the bullish engulfing candlestick on the weekly time frame. Well, it's V-shaped my butt. Okay, it didn't go straight up. You got signs along the way there. So don't feel the FOMO. That's what I'm getting at. That's really what I want to hammer home on this video. All right. Now, the last Mag 7 stock we're going to go over here is Meta. Meta's weekly RSI is not oversold yet. Is not oversold yet, but look at that freaking sell volume. Holy sweet baby Jesus. Hitting 495.60 support. Where is that? Right over here. Underneath here, you don't really have anything until all the way down there at 442.65. I would say you have this little structure going on here. You had this little base built out. So underneath 495.60, you can pay attention to 473.96. But under there, because we're talking 442.65, and then, no, I don't think we're getting down there. That would be, we're talking 50% decline from the highs. I definitely don't think that's high. That's not happening. It's not happening. It's not on the table. On the upside, it could be on the table. Okay, I don't know, you don't know, but it's not 50%. But this is what I'm saying. All right, investor hat on. I'm telling you, there's going to be a massive buying opportunity here. Whether you want to try and catch it or not, that's up to you. But I'm telling you, it's going to be here. And then I'm going to be here to walk us through how to actually trade that shit to the upside when we're on that steady grind. Right now, you're steady grind to the downside, though. On the upside, you have 518, today's high. Above there, you're talking 530.30 gap fill. And above there, 553.30. That's where you just broke down from. All right. So, guys, that right there, that was, really the basis of what I want to go over today. I want to put together a game plan of where we probably are here, how you're going to trade it, how not to get screwed in this market. Do not lose your butt before you get the big opportunity. I'm telling you right now, all right, even if you got small money right now, just realize you're going to get the easy money, market, easy money market environment, we'll call it. I promise you're going to get something building up here. That if you're losing money to when the market's moving down, I'm guessing you're just biased to the long side. I'm telling you right now. All right. It doesn't have to be like that. All right. Take the bias out of it. If you got the skin in the game that's causing it, all right, do yourself a favor. Okay. On this bounce, do what you got to do. If you got to do something about it. All right. And I'm telling you, there's plenty of intraday volatility to trade back and forth. Today we caught, over 700 points on NQ. Guys, if you're trading MNQ, that is still over $1,500. If you're trading NQ, it's freaking a lot of money right there. And that's only, we're talking 1 MQ per trade, even though, we were using 1 to 2. But, this money is there for the taking. And if you're not a futures trader, there's options. I just know for a fact, volatility is definitely very elevated. So, yeah, that is something that you should keep in mind. So, there's definitely another option there to be catching that if you want to go fund your Ninja Trader account or Tradeovate. Those are what I use. The personal account is on the Ninja Trader, and then I got Tradeovate for the 2 funded accounts there. Honestly, guys, I'm just letting you know. Don't lose your freaking butt. Don't lose the butt before some good things happen, because it's going to keep falling until it doesn't. So I'm going to walk away from this video, just hammer it into your head. Don't lose your butt. Don't lose your butt. Don't lose your butt. Don't lose your butt. If you want to come trade with me, link will be down below. And if you want more, outside of this video, more free insights, those are going to be over on the Twitter. Link is also down below. With that being said, guys, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Please do me and yourself a favor. Do not lose the butt in the market. Okay? Do what you got to do. And if you got to sit on hands for now, I'm here for you. I'll let you know when things are safe, when the waters are looking good and nice and clear for us. That being said, catch y'all in the next one. Peace.